All right, Logan, we're going.
We're going now?
How are you?
Good, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for the coffee.
Pleasure's all mine.
Warm drink on a rainy day. That's what I'm about. Awesome.
Perfect.
How's
Nice
the-
setup you got here. I'm impressed. Looks great, man.
Every time someone comes over and says that, it's just as meaningful as the first time I ever heard that
Yeah,
compliment.
it looks great. I like it.
It was a little COVID project. I had nothing to do. A little bit of money in the bank. I was like, all right, let's just try to figure something out with the basement. And this is what it turned out to be.
It's good. It's great, man. It's a good
Appreciate
setup.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me too.
How was your morning? What'd you do? What'd you get up to? What do you do?
I'm a commercial account manager for an automotive parts and equipment company.
Jesus, that sounds complicated.
Yeah, no, trust me, it's not as complicated as it sounds. But yeah, no. So is that work all morning? You were good enough to have me, so here I am.
That's awesome. You've been highly recommended, not by one person, not by two, but probably by like maybe 7 people.
Really?
Oh yeah, because as soon as Mavs mentioned you, I got a couple texts, couple DMs, couple Facebook messages saying,
wow.
Yeah, so that's
Dubious honor.
that's a compliment in itself for
Yeah.
sure.
Hopefully they were good messages.
They were great. They were just they were short and sweet, just like Logan must have, and that's it. And I was like, okay,
Well, here I am.
what's the charm about you? What's so special about Logan Delaney?
Oh, gee, I don't know how to answer that, man. Depends, I guess, which way you look at it. But I guess I talk a lot, so it's probably one of my unique gifts, I guess.
So why don't you have your own podcast?
You know what? I actually have thought about that before. I really like what you're doing. Your idea is great, honestly. It's good. I like your profiling Atlantic Canadians and stuff. I think
Appreciate
it's
it.
great.
Thank you.
You're doing a good thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. But podcasting, I don't know. I don't know if I could. It's tough, man. It's a lot of time. Well, obviously you know, but geez, I mean, the hours you got to log into it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I'll let guys like you do it, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. That way you have the market cornered, right?
I guess so. That's the thing. Like everyone has a podcast now. There's new podcasts popping up every day in Atlantic Canada, and you look at it and you study it. You go, okay, who are they having on? What's going on here? And you kind of evaluate it, and then you try to like move away from a certain style because other people might be doing it. It's a lot of, I don't want to say mind games, but it's a lot of looking at the market and being like, how can I be a bit different?
Yeah.
Because a podcast is a podcast. It's it's the same for everyone.
Yeah.
But you got to somehow be different, even if that's my personality, even if it's the guest we're having on. You got to always be thinking, always be moving left, right. Always got to be. That's what I'm taking from it. At
Do
least.
you listen to any?
I do listen to a lot, not a lot, but I listen to some.
Yeah.
The Church of What's Happening Now. His name's Joey Diaz.
Okay.
He's like a criminal back in like the 80s and 90s in New York. Not a criminal,
yeah.
but like drug dealer type guy.
Okay.
And I grew up in the suburbs, so like my life was pretty simple and plain. So I love listening to these guys about like
Yeah.
criminals, like robbing and all
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
I like that sort of stuff. But do you listen to any other than this one?
Spitting chicklets, obviously.
Yeah, it's a
I
given.
think it's a
yeah.
staple for any hockey guy.
Yeah.
You know what? Dax Shepard, armchair expert.
You're not the first person.
Really good. Honestly, I suggest to anybody listen to that. He has celebrities on there, and he is.
So what's so good about it? Like what's his effect?
Just his approach. Like, I mean, he had Tom Brady on recently, and he had Tom Brady talking about things that I can guarantee you that media's been trying to get out of him for 20 years.
Like what? What they get out of him?
He just has that way of talking with somebody. It just makes him feel comfortable. And like Tom Brady went on a lot about, like the psychological impact of being somebody with his level of status, right? How hard it is on him and his family, how it's hard to, function day to day sometimes, just to go to a store and do something. He can't really do that. But Dax Shepard's really good, man. I suggest taking a listen. He's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not the first person to say that.
It's really good.
There's so many, like I said, there's so many podcasts. It's just tough to like pick one and commit an hour
It's
to it.
overwhelming. 31 Thoughts is pretty good too.
Yeah, with Elliot Friedman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Merrick, that was
Yeah.
really good too, right? I think it's whatever. I think with podcasts, whatever interest you have or want to explore, there's something for it.
Absolutely.
Right?
So much of my education comes from the internet. Not
Yeah.
even podcasts, just YouTube.
That's
Just
right.
reading an article, a podcast. If I'm
World.
driving somewhere, got an hour drive somewhere, so I could chuck that on, maybe learn a little bit of something I didn't know before.
Yeah.
So educational.
That's where we live in. Right?
Yeah. So played a little hockey in Mexico. I don't know if you want to jump into this story right away, but from what I told, and you said these pictures, that Canada jersey behind you looks unreal. You've been involved in the hockey world. We have a lot of hockey players on this podcast. When having a hockey player on, usually there's good stories that come about because it's a fun lifestyle. A lot of good things come from it,
Yeah.
and that's including a couple good stories.
Yeah.
You don't even have to really get into any stories about Mexico. Just talk about how the game of hockey, I guess, was introduced to you. How did it come about?
Well, I mean, geez, where do we start? Yeah, suppose of all the talented hockey players you have on here, for the record, I'm not one of them, but I guess my hockey playing career, for lack of better term, is probably not as conventional as most.
Okay.
I'm from Cole Harbour, but most of my childhood I spent in Barrie, Ontario.
Okay.
So I, played hockey as a kid and stuff, but I actually had to give it up when I was 17 because I got hit from behind and fractured my skull.
Whoa.
And I had several concussions before that, so that kind of ended it for me there. And that was a tough thing, but yeah, 17 years old, I had to pretty much give it up.
So how did the hit? Was it hit from behind? How did the hit happen? Like, how did you fracture?
No, I was hit from behind. It was actually, I remember well, it was May 7th, 1998. And I remember I played D. I was kind of the stay-at-home type. Like, I would stay at home so much I wouldn't even leave the house,
People make a living off that. Love
yeah.
it.
So anyway, I remember well, actually, I had the puck and brought it up, and I shot from out far, and goalie kicked it in the corner. And I don't know. I think the forwards changed. I don't know, but no one else around. I went in to get it, and I got drilled. It was probably a few feet out from the boards and went head first. Yeah, so
Parents in attendance when it happened.
Oh yeah.
That's
It was
mom's
actually
worst nightmare.
It was at years ago. I don't think they do this anymore. It was at the OHL Prospects tournament. They used to have it in
I was gonna say May. Like that.
Yeah, it was in Guelph, Ontario. They used to do that. It was right before the OHL draft. So I don't know. I don't think they do that anymore. Anyway, yeah, and it was brutal. I was out cold, and I came to and got up. And I remember I went to the bench and we could talk about concussions in hockey for hours, but back then things were a little different than now, right? And I remember my stick was actually broken in half because I used a wood one. I was so messed up, I had no idea. I was on the bench holding it; it was broken in half. So I actually I played for a few more days, and my helmet I had to adjust to the largest size because my head was swelling so rapidly. And I actually was playing in another tournament a few days later, and I actually got in a fight, and I took one and dropped and went in convulsions. And so I was in the hospital for a few days. It was pretty bad, and like I said, I had several concussions before that, so pretty much it was, wasn't a matter of when I'd play hockey again, it was if. So that was the beginning of the end right there, really. And my family moved back to Nova Scotia that year. That summer, and I didn't play that year, and I got back into it, and honestly I had no business being anywhere near a rink. I mean, I was in no shape to play at all. Like, once you get hit like that, and concussions and the problems that come from it, and my father was a bit of what you call an overbearing hockey dad, and really forced me back into it. And it wasn't good, so I played for a few more months, and that was it, though. I saw the neurologist again, and he basically told me, he said, no, you got to give this up.
That's one of the toughest pills you'll ever swallow in your entire life, and you're only 17 years old.
Yeah, you know what? It was really hard. I struggled with it for a long time.
Yeah.
It was tough because, I mean, you see your buddies playing, and, they're doing things with hockey, having good experiences, being a part of a team, all that stuff. And you can't do that. It hurts. It stinks. Because at that age too, it'd be one thing is like you played junior. It's one thing if you're 20 years old and you know what, time just ran out. Right. But when you didn't kind of end it on your terms, that bothered me for a long time. I'll be honest. It took me a very long time to get over that. It was a really hard thing to deal with. And that's why now, I'm glad to see where the game is at with concussions awareness and stuff, because I live the other side of it. I mean, you look back, you think, I skated around for 5 days with my head swelling so bad I had to almost get a bigger size helmet. But, everyone around you is like,
you're fine.
They just don't even know what to say, right? So, you look back to where things were and where they are now. I think the game's in a lot better place because of that, for sure.
That's crazy. I remember being 20 years old and ending hockey and being upset, and it was on my own terms. I couldn't imagine being 17 and being forced out of it. I think everyone kind of struggles with leaving the game of hockey, but the majority of people that leave hockey leave on their own terms, not forced. So I couldn't imagine the amount of
Well, I didn't have, like I mentioned before, I didn't have the best hockey experience as a kid because of my surroundings.
Okay.
you know, my father being as overbearing as he was and stuff. I mean, we could get into that later, but I wanted it to end because when I took that year off because I couldn't play, and you know, I was kind of pushed back into it. I knew that I shouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
I mean, for a lot of reasons. I mean, you know, one, you're not to mention your timing's off, but psychologically as well, right? You're not there. I mean, I was a different person.
Like outside of the rink, you mean?
Yeah, for sure. It affects you, right? You know, there was a lot of anger issues there, and you couldn't do things you could do before, right? Like I struggled in school. I mean, the list is endless.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel right playing, and I was doing it because I was forced to. And I remember
Just talk a little closer to the mic, sorry.
my mother brought me over to when I went to meet the neurologist at Dow, when he told me, like, this is it, you're done. I was relieved. I was actually happy.
No more wondering.
Yeah, and because I wanted out, like, at that time, because I just knew, I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't play this anymore. You know, my head's not right. This isn't safe. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And where I was being pushed back into it. So I was actually thankful to a degree. You know what I mean? Like I was relieved. It felt like a weight got lifted off my shoulders.
But were you relieved at that very moment, or did it take a couple years for you to be relieved? Like,
no, at that moment I was. I'll be honest.
Yeah?
I was. Like, and you know, I think that kids, we don't realize, like, the pressure that gets put on these young kids when they play. We think that they're just kids and they don't realize that, but like I can assure you they do. And you know, speaking from my experience, and I was relieved because I was like, okay, it's over. Because I knew, like, when I got hurt, you know, I knew, like, at that age, I mean, you know, when you're a kid, I mean, you don't know shit about anything, let's be honest. But I knew, like, this was it. I mean, like I said, I had several concussions before that.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it was over. I mean, one way or another, you know. And when you have doctors telling you, like, hey, you know, if you take one more of these, like, I don't know how things are going to work out for you when you're an adult. I mean, even though you might be just a teenager, you know, that holds a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was really relieved. You know, obviously you're upset, like I said before, you're not playing and stuff, but there is a certain relief that gets lifted off you.
You were telling me that you coached the Gulls the past season ago, 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, I actually was out there for 4 seasons. I stopped. I gave it up season before last.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were coaching some studs now. Is there anything that you learned from as a kid when you were playing and kind of implemented it and kind of guided these kids in order to, I don't know, have a better experience when it came to the game of hockey at that young of an age?
I think so. I coached minor hockey for almost a decade. You know, I coached Adam hockey in Cole Harbour 3 years. I coached a year in Dartmouth, actually, in Pee Wee, and then I was at the Gulls for 4 years. And yeah, I think with me, you know, I'm a little jaded, I guess, when it comes to different things with hockey, for sure, because of my experience.
But that's kind of good. Like, you kind of want that a little bit because you can learn from an experience and kind of implement something else.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you take, I mean, coaching hockey, X's and O's is one thing, right? And listen, anyone that knows me will tell you, I'm not an X's and O's coach. I'm the first to say it, right? And I admit that. And there's certain guys that are, and I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
But I think what I did was I looked at my experiences when I was younger and kind of try to parlay that into how I coached, right? Because I think that kids, you know, they need to be in an environment where they know they can be pushed to be their best, but it has to be a comfortable environment too.
Well, it's that comfortable push.
Yeah.
I find a push is very different from an aggressive push to a, come on, you can do this, let's go.
100%. And I think with coaching, it's a partnership. It's not a dictatorship. And that's the way I always viewed it.
Good point.
Yeah, and that's the way I approached it. So, and I think to a fault too, maybe, because sometimes and it's human nature, you know, you look back at your hockey experience and we see both sides of it. You know, I know guys, very high-level hockey players, and you know, the days of yore, let's call it. I mean, when we played, coaches were pretty hard on us, right? That was just the way things were back then. It's not like that now. So sometimes you see the adverse effect of that too. You see coaches now who, for lack of a better term, they're a prick to kids. It doesn't work, right? So for me, I think I took that other approach, and whether or not it worked, I don't know. Ask kids that I worked with. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's everyone has their own philosophies and way of doing things.
Yeah.
But when it came to how I approached coaching hockey, yeah, I definitely drew from my own experiences.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's some coaches' experience that I had in the past, especially at a younger level, that I take great value in now. I'll give you a perfect example. And you tell me if you think this is pushing. I'd be in Pee Wee AAA, and I was a skinnier kid. I'm still skinny. And, in the corners, that wasn't my place. But, it'd be a Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night, and we'd be doing battle drills in the corner. And, a coach would put me out with two of the bigger defensemen on the team, and I have to get the puck out of the corner. I lose that battle. I'm exhausted. I go to the back of the line. Before I even have a time to go on one knee and rest and get a drink of water, coach just goes, Belanger, let's go. You're going back on the corner again. Same two guys I'm battling. At the time, I'm pissed at my coach, but looking back on that now, that kind of made me grow as a player. It made me grow as a person, and it made me battle through adversity. Do you think that that's pushing someone, or do you think that's healthy pushing? You know
I think
what I
it's
mean?
healthy pushing. I mean, I think as a coach, you have to have kids go out of their comfort zone too, and that's a big thing today.
All the time, I think you need to be.
We could talk about helicopter parenting and all, that whole thing, but you have to have kids step outside of their comfort zone. And as a coach, I mean, you have to do that in a healthy, positive way. And I mean, it's like anything. There's right and wrong ways to do things, and I think the way coaching is, it's subjective. You know what I mean? You might look at a method of coaching, think it's great. I might look at it and think it's terrible, and so on and so forth. But it is important to have kids step outside of their comfort zone. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, you have to do it in a right way. But, I think the biggest thing with coaching, especially now, is, you're managing different personalities. You can't approach it with a blanket approach. I mean, what works for that kid's not going to work for that kid and that kid and that kid, right? So everyone has their own ways of being pushed, and everyone has their own buttons, and what works for that kid might be detrimental to the other kid, but what's detrimental to that kid might work for the other kid. And I think the best coaches realize that. And I mean, you look today, look at any level, whether it be midget, junior, or pro, university, what have you. I do believe that the most successful coaches are the ones that identify that and recognize that, and they utilize that in every day.
No, it's well put. It's true. It takes a lot more work to do that. But that's where you see the pretenders, not the pretenders, but the guys that are just average to the supreme coaches. Because they get to know 20 guys in a room and get to know what motivates them and get to know how they work. It's a lot of extra effort. It's a lot of extra effort. That's a lot of, hey, Dylan, do you mind coming to see me after practice? I just want to talk to you. I want to show you a little something here. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of shit that has to go into that. But I agree with what you're saying. The difference is tremendous once you can do that. And I've had coaches that have done nothing, and I've had coaches that have called me into the room and explained to me what I'm doing wrong and what I need to do, and I've had coaches yell at me and motivate me and push me into being a better player. But I agree with what you're saying. The one thing I always like to say about the game is that it'll bring you into uncomfortable situations without anyone having to do it for you. You could be playing a huge game against the Sackville Flyers. But going to that rink an hour before, you're going to feel that anxiety. You're going to feel that preparation come into you before you're even setting foot in the rink. No one's talking to you. No one's yelling at you. But that feeling of, okay, I got to get over this. I got to perform well. I have to make sure my coaches are happy. I have to make sure that my teammates are not let down. It's almost like the game naturally does it for you. And I always implement that. Like, it doesn't matter, business, hockey, lacrosse, whatever the hell you're doing. Sports, it just naturally kind of brings you into an element of getting over adversity. And I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, and it's life skills, right? And I think with coaching kids, that's another thing you're doing too, is you're preparing them for the adult world. And it might only be a small percentage of that, but organically, these kids, these players they're developing life skills through that, through adversity and preparation, and being in a stressful situation. I mean, that's important. So, these kids learn that, and they recognize that, and as coaches, I think we all have to respect that as well.
Yeah. I heard did you coach Carruthers and McDonald, Cam?
Yeah, I coached both Carruthers, actually.
I heard
Leighton and Logan, and Cam too, with the Gulls, yeah.
I heard that they were a 1-2 punch back in the day. I'm sure they will develop that in St. John, but I heard back in the day they were just it wasn't fair for some teams.
Yeah, you know what? With them, they're really good kids. I mean,
had both of them on, great guys.
Yeah, you have. That's right. Yeah, they're really good kids, and that's the biggest thing with them. We were really fortunate with the Gulls program. We drew from Tassa and Shabukto. Those are the two minor hockey associations that fed into that program.
Oh yeah, Tassa. Sorry,
yeah. And I tell you, a lot of really good families out there, good people, and the kids were all awesome. I mean, the 4 years that I spent out there, really, really good kids, and it showed, right? And Yeah, Leighton and Cam were really fun. They're really fun to be around too, right? Like they truly enjoy the game. I believe they respect the game and just really good athletes. You know, some kids, like I'm sure, I don't know if you were one of them, but I wasn't. Like,
What?
you know, some kid, no matter what it is, they could pick up a hockey stick or a volleyball, whatever, and they're just going to be the best at it. They're just natural. And Cam and Leighton both were like that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Actually, with the two of them, I'm trying to remember. Because I was the D coach, right? So I didn't really pay attention to the forwards too much. But, yeah, they played together on the line a lot, but a lot of times they didn't too. We actually had a really good team that year. We had a lot of awesome kids on that team. It was really fun, but yeah, they were definitely fun to work with. But the big thing with Leighton, like he physically more mature. I mean, it was crazy. Like, you know, Christ, second year Bantam, he's 180 pounds.
Oh,
like I'm convinced it's the steroids and the chicken. Because I tell you, like kids now, man, like it's crazy, like how physically mature they are at their age. I mean, Leighton was you know, he was a big kid, man, a big strong kid, and so you know that was a big part of his game too, right? And it's really cool now seeing them get to the major junior level. So like for me, it's fun to see kids that you worked with that push themselves to get to that level, and I'm really excited to see where Leighton and Cam are going to go.
Yeah,
like you know how it's going to work out for them. So.
First time I saw Leighton was Max playoffs last year. You're just blown away. Just, you know, get the puck around the net and just go end to end. You wouldn't score every time, but like quality scoring opportunity within 10 seconds, end to end.
Yeah, and he, you know, good skater and
great
good,
skater, powerful skater.
Yeah, very powerful, right? And you know, with Leighton, it's gonna be tough. Major junior is a big adjustment. I mean, everyone knows that. You know, with him, all the other guys in the league are as big and as strong as him. So he's going to, you know, have to translate his game into that level, right? He's 16 years old playing in the major junior hockey. I mean, you're playing against 20-year-olds, right? So he's got a long way to go. I talked to him last week at the when they were here, and I was talking to him, and one thing, like he was healthy scratched a couple games already, right? And I asked him about that, and you know what? I got to tell you, like a lot of kids, especially today, you know, they get very, like someone in that situation would get frustrated, make excuses, blame someone else. I was really impressed with him. He was totally optimistic. He said, listen, I'm a 16-year-old on a really good team. I said, well, how did you handle it? And he told me, he said, I asked coach for feedback. So my coach told me what I have to do to get in the lineup and practice. And he goes, I'll do that. Like, you know, happy as could be, right? And I think if a lot more of us all had a similar approach to that, we'd all be better off. But I'm very impressed with him in that maturity, like talking to him. That was really, really awesome to hear. And that's the mentality you have to have playing in that league, you know, if you want to go to the next level. So I'm going to be really excited to see how he fares out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So much talent coming from here. Like Leighton's just their one guy. Just love it. Just
It
so
is.
many.
You know what? We actually we did a stat the other day. I mean, Bathurst has 13 Atlantic Canadians on that team. I think St. John was 10. Halifax was 8, I think, if I recall. Cape Breton might have been 7 or 8, maybe 9. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I tell you, it really is like the hockey now in Atlantic Canada. Because I mean, you know, years ago, like I remember, you know, I have buddies of mine that are my age where I say like, how in the hell did this guy not play major junior hockey, right? And back then, I mean, Nova Scotians, forget it, man. Like it was, you know, to have one guy or two guys drafted off a midget team in Nova Scotia, the Q.
Oh, big deal.
Back in the late 90s was
Oh, back in the night, I was gonna say even
yeah,
in the early
like
2000s.
That was a big
like,
thing, man. One of the Bantam teams that we had, there's 12 kids that got drafted off that team. I mean, that's. Can I swear on this? Am I allowed doing that?
Is he allowed, Mark?
Okay.
Is he okay? Yeah, I guess.
Just dropping up on. I apologize, but anyway, like it's crazy, and you know, I think now it's almost like, you know, the secret's out, so to speak. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but it's crazy now how we've just finally been recognized for all the hard work, right? Like.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and I think as well the infrastructure's a lot better in Atlantic Canada now.
How so? What have you seen from the 90s to now? Like what's changed in the infrastructure?
Well, I think
More rinks.
I always make the joke that, and I'm not talking about hockey, I'm just talking about everything in general, that Nova Scotia is 10 years behind the times, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're a very easygoing province, simple way of life, And I think if you look at, and this isn't fair to compare us to big markets like Toronto, it's not fair. But if you're looking at major cities like that, I mean, even, you look at Toronto or the Montreals of the world, Calgary, Alberta, like stuff like that. I just always felt that maybe hockey, when it comes to infrastructure, we didn't really have as much opportunities and programs for kids back then as we do now. We definitely have a lot more of it now, and it shows. I mean, now we got excellent. The coaching around is excellent now. I'm not saying it wasn't back then, but there's just a lot more of it now, right? I think there's a lot more available, like hockey schools and things like that available now. We have more rinks. We got really nice facilities, and it's obviously, it has to be the reason because it's working. We can be critical of it all we want, but at the end of the day, it's working. I mean, look how many Atlantic Canadians are playing major junior hockey. I mean, that's unprecedented, and I think that just shows. I mean, the programs are working.
Yeah.
And the other thing too. I mean, you look at Newfoundland. I mean, years ago they went to the OHL. I mean, you think about that. That's crazy. When you think about that, it's like, why were those guys almost relegated? Not relegated isn't the right word, but dictated to go to the Ontario League. Yeah. Why is that?
Yeah.
Like, that's when you think about it, it's ridiculous, right?
Or Western too.
Yeah,
all the way
right.
out.
But now, so I think it's myself, and for somebody who, coach minor hockey around here and stuff, I think it's just fantastic myself. And you know what? Like, we were known in major junior circles. I mean, Nova Scotians or Atlantic Canadians were known. We were hardworking, third, fourth line guys. That's what Nova Scotia, but that's not it anymore. There's damn good hockey players coming out of here. And I mean, call we won. I guess you could thank Crosby for that. Maybe he's the one that sets the precedent. I don't know. I don't know what the specific answer is, but it's working.
I've heard a lot of different answers to that question. I've heard Crosby. I've heard the Mooseheads coming to town. I've heard the coaching staff, just coaches in general. Yeah. I've heard I've heard a lot of answers. I think just the exposure of the talent and knowing where you can go. But I think it was, who said it? I think Bill Short said when the Mooseheads came to town, it gave those 10, 11, 12-year-olds something to work towards.
Yeah.
Rather than just seeing the Montreal and Toronto Maple Leafs play every Saturday night on TV. It's like, I can do this in my own backyard, play in front of 10,000 people. Okay, what do I have to do that? And then once that first Maritimer came, I don't know who it would have been, maybe Jody Shelley. And then apparently the other things like that just started to happen. Just seeing local guys. He's my second cousin. He's doing this. So how did he do that? And then just a big web started. That's what I've heard. But, it is unprecedented.
No, it's true. And I think you're right. It is exposure. It's exposure to a bigger world. I mean, we're a little fish in a very big pond. But, yeah, Shorty's right. And the Mooseheads definitely had a huge part of that. I think that just goes not just for players, but for coaches, too.
Definitely.
I think the hockey opportunities grew. I mean, you look at university hockey. I mean, Atlantic University Conference, in my opinion, is the most underrated league in Canada. I mean, or if not North America.
By far.
So, I mean, you see these coaches that are aspiring to get to those levels. A guy like Chris Donnelly. I mean, local guy and coached Mooseheads forever, and then got up there just as an example. So not only for players, but for coaches as well. And you know what? I think Hockey Nova Scotia did a really good job with the high performance program, the provincial teams over the past 20 years. That really came to fruition. That borderline didn't exist for a long time. And that really helped too, because
Nogs, right? Nogs was a part of that too, I think.
Oh yeah. And I think that really helped too, because when the Atlantic provinces started doing that, it started exposing the players to like the national standard of programming,
like playing against Quebec, Ontario.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So, it kicks up the dream a little bit. You know what I mean? It exposes these kids to something that maybe they wouldn't see before. And that really, really helped. And it was, I don't think organic would be the right word to use there, but as it progressed and as time went on, things got better. I mean, players had more opportunity. And then when you look at leagues like the Q, you can't turn away from talent. You can't ignore it, right? And there came a point where like, we can't ignore it anymore. Like, actually, my buddy sent me a photo of it was the Atlantic Dartmouth Subways when they were at Atlantics and Bathurst when Crosby played for them.
Oh yeah.
And it was a team photo. And I mean, Jesus, that roster is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you look at it and it's like how, like I look back on it now and I think that team had 13 guys from Cole Harbour on it. Something like, oh, crazy. I mean, but you look back on it, you're like, how in the hell did all those guys not play major junior hockey, right? I mean, Andrew Gordon was on the team.
Yeah.
You know, and Crosby was, Jesus, how old was he on that team? 9? But, you know, I think Crosby helped that too. Because it's like you can't turn away from it anymore. Like you got to respect the talent that's around here, and it worked. Because I mean, just hey, the doesn't lie. The data, the facts are there. I mean, the amount of players moving onward and upward is just every year. It seems like there's not one or two, it's several, if not more. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's awesome.
Oh, I'll definitely be taking a trip to Colorado in the next 10 years.
Yeah, what a story that is too. Eh? Isn't that wild?
Did you see? I think Bar Down released it today. It was McKinnon that was calling Sakic all draft. Like,
Yeah.
just draft him. I skated with him. We need him. Just get him.
Yeah,
And they drafted him.
I had been told that story too, actually, that McKinnon actually here was skating with Barron back in the summer and was just like blown away. Like he made a comment. He's like, geez, you know, like this guy can skate better than half the D in the league right now. And
Yeah.
I think it's cool. You know what? Great organizations use their assets. I mean, McKinnon's an asset, obviously, and I think the best organizations do that.
They
You know,
listen.
They ask the players, like,
Yeah.
what do you think? Or, you know, and it's pretty cool to see that Sakic would value his opinion like that and make that selection. Barron's one hell of a player, man.
We've had tons of guys on the podcast that have done that summer skate, and they're just like, oh, watch out.
Do you know how fun hockey would be? You could skate like that. Imagine.
It'd be unreal.
Wow.
Got a lot of fun.
It'd be nice, that's for sure. But yeah, and really nice kid too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
really,
guy.
really nice kid. Yeah, I coached against him in Bantam actually with Halifax, and it just, you know, some kids you just look at and you just know.
Yeah.
He was one of them, right? Like
Yeah.
you're just like,
He's got it.
yeah, like you want to, you know, it's funny. You look, and Lucas Cormier was another one too. He played Bantam that year for Dieppe in New Brunswick, and I remember just saying to, do you know TJ Heighton?
I
you know-
don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, he was their assistant coach, and I remember saying to TJ, I'm like, yeah, you want to know what it takes to go to the show these days, the D? Like, watch those two guys skate for 5 minutes. Like, it just, yeah, it's really cool seeing kids like that, though. But you know what? You wonder, and for me, like, coaching Bantam, sometimes you look at these players and you wonder, like, are they good enough, though?
What do you mean?
You know, well, because they're 15, right? Like 14,
Yeah.
like 13, 14, 15. And sometimes you wonder, right? Like, because none of us have a crystal ball. We
No.
don't know what's going to happen next year or 5 years from now. As much as you think you do, you don't.
No. Yeah.
And sometimes you look at these kids, you're like, okay, they're like really good, but are they that good?
Yeah.
And I actually remember Kevin Mitchell, who was coaching Barron at the time, and Noah Lowen was actually on that team too. He plays with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good player too. And I remember the first time I played, like we coached against Barron, I said to Kevin after, I said, Jesus, man, like that kid that's skating on him and stuff. I said, Kevin, like, is he that good? And Kevin looked at me and goes, no, he's better.
Oh.
And I'll never forget that comment. And I mean, well, here we are today, right?
Yeah.
First round NHL
Oh,
pick.
he's better.
Not that I'm knocking him. Justin, if you're listening, I'm not knocking you. But just sometimes you wonder, right? Like,
Yeah.
You look at a player like that and you're like,
You try to think you have the crystal ball. You're like, oh no, he's
Yeah,
gonna
like,
do it.
is
He'll
he-
do it.
is
He's
he that good?
You even look
'Cause-
at his attitude of it. You're like, oh, he's a good kid. He's
You
paying
know,
attention. Like,
because sometimes amongst your peer group, you can be exponentially better, but maybe,
we've all seen it.
yeah, but maybe, you know, as time goes on, do you
course.
carry that forward? So,
Of course.
but I guess that's the fun of it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it like? I've never been to Mexico. What's it like?
You want to hear that story, do you?
Well, I just want to talk about warm weather, but if you got a story from there.
Yeah, Mexico City actually.
Mexico City.
Yeah,
I didn't
we're
know.
not
Okay.
talking resort town here.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How'd you wind
it's,
up there?
Well, it was 2014. You want to hear the whole thing from the start?
Yeah, man. That's why we do a podcast.
All right.
We
Well,
got time.
yeah. So I was coaching Adam AAA in Cole Harbour. Do you know Stewie Lenahan?
Yeah, he was my line mate in junior for a couple.
Yeah,
of
you
months.
guys are around the same age. Yeah.
Marauders, Halifax
Yeah,
Lions.
okay.
Yeah.
So we were coaching together, and I'll never forget it. I got an email from a buddy of mine, and literally the email says, "Hey, if you want to play hockey for Team Canada, read the information below and get back to me ASAP. So I'm living in the dressing room, and I look at Stewie. I'm like, man, get a load of this. I throw him my phone, and he's like, what? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know if this is real or what, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. So anyway, I got home that night, and my wife, who was 6 months pregnant at the time, I threw her my phone. I said, read this, and she reads it, and she was like, this makes no bloody sense. I said, I know it doesn't, but I said, I'm going to figure out if it does. And she was like, what? She's like, are you really going to go? I said, if this is real, you're damn right I'm going. So anyway, so what had happened was a buddy of ours that we played with here, he's actually originally from Bedford, Matt Kerr. Kersey was living in Toronto at the time. So his really good buddy, Ross McLean, he was working with hockey. Ross is actually from Halifax originally.
Okay.
And Ross is working for Hockey Canada out of Calgary.
Okay.
So in international, like double IHF, right, international competition, there's actually different divisions, right? So Canada's in what's called the championship division. So obviously Canada, Russia, US, Sweden, Finland, blah, blah, blah. And then there's like a Division 1A, Division 1A, or 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. Like the divisions actually go down.
Okay.
Because think I don't know how many competing countries there are in the double IHF, like 200 or something.
Okay.
So there's different divisions. So these tournaments actually happen all over the world every year. It's just we never hear about them because we're busy watching the Olympics or the World Juniors or whatever. So Mexico, believe it or not, is actually a really flourishing hockey country.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah,
but
it is.
okay.
I mean, obviously they're never going to be at the level that Canada's at, but their infrastructure and the program is growing. And Hockey Canada was actually working with them for a couple years in helping them develop it.
That's awesome.
So they wanted to move up in world rankings. So Canada, I don't know what they're ranked in the world right now, but how you get world rankings is points based on your finishes in tournaments. So like if you win a World Juniors, I don't know, it's worth 1,000 points or whatever the matrix is. So that's how the world rankings go. So Mexico, they wanted to move up a division. I think it was from Division 2A to 1B or something like that. They want to move up.
Okay.
So they wanted to host an event. So they hosted the Pan American Hockey Championship.
What year is this?
2014.
Okay.
So it was a fully legit double IHF sanctioned event, right?
First time ever in Mexico?
Yeah. So the competing countries were originally supposed to be Canada, US. I mean, it's Pan American, right? Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, and Brazil. Now, the Americans, those damn heathens, they backed out pretty shortly before the event. I don't know what happened there, which I could get into that in a little bit. But so there was So Ross, Kersey's buddy, who works for Hockey Canada. So originally what was going to happen, now obviously Hockey Canada's not going to send down a bunch of, pro guys or 20-year-old junior players to Mexico City. I mean, keep in mind, Mexico City's got more people in it than Canada.
I believe that.
The city's bananas.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I've never seen anything like it. Probably never will again. So what had happened was a senior AAA team from British Columbia was going to go and represent Canada. And they were going to pay mostly their own way, right, and all this stuff. Like I guess they had fundraised for it and all this stuff. They ended up making the Allen Cup, the national senior championship. So they had to bail out. So at this time, this is when Sochi was going on, the Olympics in Russia. So the story that we were told was Hockey Canada, and come to learn, world hockey is very political.
Is it?
Yeah.
In what sense? Like at the tournament?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like anything. You put a bunch of governing bodies together. There's always politics involved. But I learned a lot about Hockey Canada and the way things work. That 10 days I was down there.
What'd you learn?
Really, I
Is
can
it
get into it.
Okay,
yeah,
just keep telling the story. We'll go.
So Bob Nicholson, who was president of Hockey Canada at the time, was over in Russia, and they had a conference call about this, event because this senior AAA team couldn't go. So Bob Nicholson said. He told the Hockey Canada staff, the office in Calgary, he said, I don't give a shit how much money this costs us. We can't pull out of this. We'll look very bad.
It's true.
Figure it out and send a team down there. So basically Hockey Canada staff were like, as soon as I think they heard that there was no limit on the budget, they were having fun with it. But they basically were like, well, all right. So they wanted, obviously, sending a bunch of guys to Mexico City could have bad idea written all over it. So I think they wanted like a little older guys, right, for the mature factor, which I don't know if we were the most mature group that went down there, but anyway, that's to be determined. But anyway, so they wanted guys that formerly played like junior university or major junior, and they wanted to have guys from all over Canada. They didn't want to just take a bunch of guys from one city. They wanted to kind of mix it up a bit. So basically, guys that worked for Hockey Canada were tasked with doing this. So it's pretty funny. So Kersey emails, we were playing beer league together, right? In the Lake City League in Dartmouth. So he emailed, I think there was like 7 or 8 of us on the email list. And if you were to get him here right now, I don't think the guys that went were the ones that he expected to go. Do you know what I mean?
So how did they figure it out if they weren't on the email?
So no. So he emailed, like, it was literally like, I think it was like 7 or 8 or 9 of us. Here's where it's funny. All the guys thought it was a joke and no one took it seriously.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Now, I went home that night and Googled the shit out of this thing, and I didn't find much, but I found enough. I wrote them back the night and said, I'm in. And all my buddies, I still have the emails. They were like chirping me. And I said to them, like, am I literally the only one taking this seriously? And they were like, yeah. They're like, you're a dummy. Like, making fun of me, right? So, lo and behold, it's legit. And this was like ASAP thing, because by the time this happened, we were leaving in 5 weeks to go when this email came out. Like, it was quick. Like,
what were you doing for work at the time?
Same job I'm doing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So
okay.
like it was quick. Like when he sent the email, like, you need to tell me ASAP. Like, he wasn't kidding, because they had to get a group of guys together and go, right?
Flights paid for?
Oh yeah. So 3 of us actually from Cole Harbour, we said yes to go. And then once like our buddies that were on the email thread realized like this was legit, they all were like, oh, like we want in. And Kersey's like, sorry, man. Like, I told you, like, I needed to know ASAP. So my buddies were basically on suicide watch for like a couple weeks. And it was kind of, it's pretty funny, like, looking back on it now. But once they realized, like, this was legit.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. So do you know John Greenwood?
Moosehead's coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him a couple times.
So he's a really good buddy of mine, and he was coaching midget in Cole Harbour at the time. And a bunch of my buddies came over to my house, and we were going to watch, because I live just not far from the rink.
Okay.
So we're having a couple beers and we're going over to watch Johnny coach, right?
Yeah.
And when I got the email from Hockey Canada, and it was like the prep package detailing the tournament. And in it was an apparel and equipment order form. So I'm like, my buddies that are with me are the guys that all thought this was a joke and didn't take it seriously. So like, I'm showing them like the email, and they're losing their minds. They're like, "This is bullshit!" Like, losing it. And I'm
they
like
could have
laughing.
been.
Yes, they could have been. So 3 of us from Cole Harbour went, and we said, "Do we go?" And so it was pretty funny, but it was wild. Like, I mean, you're going to play hockey in Mexico City, and you're playing against these countries, so you've no idea what the hell's going to happen or what to expect or what. So
I love it.
I'm rattled, because I'm like, well, shit, I got to get in shape, and I got like 4 weeks to do it. So I was skating with like a bantam team and a midget team, just trying to get ice time wherever I could. Just because, again, you've no idea, and I don't want to embarrass myself and look like a fool, right?
Yeah, you're representing Canada. You know, it's like.
So yeah, it was pretty wild. Like, the roster, we had guys from all over Canada, couple guys from New Brunswick, a few from Quebec. A bunch from Ontario, Alberta, I think there's a Saskatchewan guy, BC. Like, yeah, really, really cool. So lo and behold, and Hockey Canada I mean, they're incredible how they're so detailed. It's unbelievable. Like, and it was really neat. So there was some of the guys that played actually worked for Hockey Canada too. So it was pretty cool. And the coach that we had, Cory Mcnabb, he's their senior director of player development for Hockey Canada. He's been with them a long time. If you ever see like Hockey Canada in the media or anything, or like talking about like growth of the game or any of that, typically it's him.
Okay.
So it was really interesting to see how they prepare for this event. So again, we're walking into the unknown. I mean,
but that's the exciting factor.
It is, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, shit, like, what did I get myself into, kind of thing. But it was fully paid for. Everything. I mean, we stayed in a wicked hotel. I mean, flights were totally covered, and We got I got more Team Canada clothing I'd ever know what to do with and stuff, and so so we go down, and it was an unbelievable experience. I mean, it's a fairy tale. I don't know how else to say it. It's the most ridiculous story ever, but like I remember, you're telling people. I remember I called my boss and told him, I was like, listen, I got to take like a week and a half off work, and this is what I'm doing. And he laughs. He goes, excuse me? Like, he didn't believe me. I'm like, I know, it sounds ridiculous. I'll try and send you photos or something to make sure that you believe me. I'm not lying to you. But, so next thing you know, like, I'll never forget me and Joe Sanford, my buddy from Cole Harbor. We were on the flight out of here together, and, like, we're on the plane, like, going, and we're just like, well, what the fuck we got ourselves into? Like, what's happening here, right? Like, where are we going? But, yeah, it just right from the start. As soon as we landed, we were treated like gold. We were taken care of. Like it was
Hockey Canada first class all the way.
They are like they call it the gold standard. Like that's what they call their national programs, and it is like it's impressive. And keep in mind, what we saw is not near to the level of what like a World Junior team or anything like that would see. Yep. But I mean, listen, man, we're a bunch of. I mean, the average age probably was 29 or 30. I mean, we're a bunch of 95 idiots, really. And all of a sudden we're down there, like, living the dream, right?
But you're wearing that jersey. That's why the standard has to be,
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like, it doesn't matter who's in it.
Yeah, that's right. And, it was kind of interesting going down there and interacting with those other countries, man. I tell you, that was a really humbling experience.
In what sense?
Well, I mean, you got to think, like, you're talking hockey in Colombia, Argentina, Mexico, and Brazil. I mean, you think of that for a minute. It makes no sense.
Are they using wooden sticks? Like, what kind of gear do they have? Where do you get skates in Argentina?
This is it, and this is the thing. And like I said, it was really humbling. And sometimes you forget how fortunate we are, right? And, I mean, these guys playing hockey for these countries, like, they're playing it with zero connotations of anything. They know that there's no opportunity to play junior hockey or to get an education from hockey or to play pro. These guys know this. Yeah. They play it solely because they love it. No other damn reason. And you kind of sit there and you look at it and you're like, maybe these guys are smarter than the rest of us, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
they're happier.
They appreciate the game to a level that I was blown away by it. And I mean, they have zero infrastructure. Like the president of the Argentinian Ice Hockey Federation, super guy, really nice guy. He literally spent his family's life savings and built Argentina's first ever ice hockey rink. He lives upstairs in it. Like, he's telling me this, and I'm just looking at him like, what? Like, are you kidding me? And this guy, and again, he's doing this for no other reason at all, other than the fact that he loved hockey and he wanted to bring it to that country, and that was the only way he could do it. And I'm pretty sure to this day, I think he still is president of the Argentinian Ice Hockey Federation, and like guys from Brazil, roller hockey players.
Yeah.
So, they obviously weren't very good, right? And you know what? That's fine. Like the level of hockey was not. I mean, Colombia wasn't bad. The best player, I would argue the best player in the tournament, and we had some really good players. We had a couple guys draft the NHL. Mark Rancourt played for us. He's Captain Smew. Okay. He was CIS Player of the Year. He won a national championship with them.
What year? 2000, the year Danton was there?
Yeah.
What
was that?
2010?
10 or 12. Yeah. Was it 10? Yeah, okay, yeah. But I would argue that the best player in the tournament was a Colombian.
Huh?
Yeah, honestly,
no way.
Yeah, this guy was, and we're watching him, and we were all like, "Holy shit! Like, this guy needs to get North America now."
Wow,
like just pure natural raw talent. I think he played in the East Coast for a bit. Someone took a flyer on him. I think I could be wrong. Anyway, but Mexico, so like their men's team, these guys were like, in school, had jobs. They have very limited funding, so they get their funding from the Olympic Committee, believe it or not, the country's Olympic Committee.
Just for like skates and...
Yeah. So they actually fundraise a lot of their own money. These guys practice 5 days a week. And, like, listen, when you're around the age of 30, and if you're on the ice 5 days a week and in shape, you're a good hockey player. That's the damn truth, right? They practice from 11 o'clock at night to 12:30 in the morning 5 days a week.
Sorry, 11 o'clock at night till 12:30 in the morning, 5 days a week.
Wow. Yeah, so an hour and a half practice every night at 11 o'clock at night. And again, these guys are doing it because they love it. And I'm sitting here like looking at it going like, Jesus, like this is unbelievable, right? And, for us, I mean, it was kind of funny because they had no idea who we were. Like they thought we were like
NHLers.
Yeah. Little did they know, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like to them, it was, you know what? I compare it to this, and this sounds ridiculous, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but if an English soccer team came here right now today, it wouldn't matter who the hell they were or where they came from. Holy shit, it's a soccer team from England.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what we were to them.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool. Like we did one practice. We had the Argentinian team practice with us.
Yeah.
Like these guys were just blown away. And I mean, yeah, like you mentioned earlier about the gear. Like they're buying everything online, getting it shipped in, costing a damn fortune.
Yeah.
I mean, we show up, we got everything. You know what I mean?
Times
like,
two, you got more than a
yeah, and they're just like, oh my God. And actually my skate broke down there. And so Hockey Canada can only bring so much.
Yeah.
So they brought a skate sharpener, but they didn't have like a riveter or anything. So I had to go on this wild goose chase to get my skate fixed in Mexico City, which was one of the most entertaining things I've ever done. So we had a team host. His name was Diego. And so local kid. Yeah. He was a university student. So he was like our lifeline to do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like you got to help me here. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And there was literally, he told me Mexico city of 35 million people, I think. They had one place, that whole city, that had anything to do with ice skating. And it was a store that sold very little hockey of anything and figure skating stuff.
Yeah.
So we get in this cab and we got in forever. I don't even know where I was. Man, honestly, if I fell out of that cab, I'd probably be dead. I would not be here today. Like I didn't know where we were, and it was like forever. And I had to go, like, it was ridiculous, right? I'm just like,
how long was the cab ride?
Oh, it's like forever.
Forever.
Yeah, it was like the other side of the city or something, and just to get rivets put back in the skate, and they ended up breaking again too. And anyway, but it was just kind of funny, but. Yeah, it was incredible though. Like just dealing with those countries, realizing like, wow, here we are. I mean, yes, we love hockey and we play it because we love it, but like these guys just literally do it because they love it. And just the questions too that they had, right?
Give me a question they had.
Well, they just would ask like, like the simplest things. Like, tell us about the rinks that you guys like grew up playing in, or
really, that's
or
cool.
like where are you guys from? And so us from Coal Harbor was kind of cool. Like
drop Sid's name. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we would tell them that, right? And of course, who wouldn't? And they were just like, oh my God. And I remember one of the guys on Brazil. I actually had a Hockey Nova Scotia T-shirt, and I gave it to him, and the guy was almost had tears in his eyes. I mean, he thought that was the coolest thing in the world, and it's just like you sit here and as an adult, you're kind of like, wow, like maybe sometimes we take life a little too granted, a little for granted sometimes. And just the questions they would ask about, what's it like? You guys play every day. You must go to the rink every day. And we're like, well, yeah, but it's not like that. Like, you got to pay money to go to the rink. You know what I mean? Like, but it just, they'd see the gear and stuff, and not that we had all the Team Canada shit, which is pretty cool. They don't let you keep that, by the way.
Well, you got the jersey.
Oh yeah, I got the red one too.
Did you steal it?
No, they let us pick our own number and everything.
Oh, I thought you said they didn't give them to you.
But the gear,
oh, the
equipment,
gear,
the gloves,
they give
and
you
helmet,
back?
and pants and stuff. Yeah, they use it at different events.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like the under 18 team will use the same gear as like the World Junior team. And
No
stuff.
way.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I didn't know that.
Me neither. It's so
I was
shiny.
Like,
it
sweet,
looks clean.
I'm gonna look awesome in beer league with Team Canada shit on. But no, they took the gear back, right? So, but hey, whatever. But yeah, it was incredible just to meet those guys and to see what they go through and why they play the game.
Yeah.
Really cool. And the culture too is so different. So I remember me and a couple of guys stayed back at the rink. I don't remember why. Doesn't matter. And so we were busing back to our hotel. So we jumped on the bus with the Colombian team. And we just kind of moved to the back, and everywhere we went, we had to wear team clothing, right?
Okay.
That was the rule. Hockey Canada's really, really, really ain't on that shit. We couldn't wear anything with a brand name on it. It had to be Nike.
Yeah, they're like, we're flying them down.
They
they're going to wear
They
stuff.
told us. They're like, if you have a pair of flip-flops or Reebok on them, get a Sharpie and block it out. We were like, you kidding me? They're like, oh yeah, they're like, no, we have to. Oh, I'm telling you, man, they're next level.
I believe it.
Yeah, they're like really, and they held us to the same standard. We're kind of like, Jesus, this is a little much, but oh yeah, they were. So anyway, not that I was complaining. I was living the dream.
Yeah.
Christ, they told me to jump out in front of a moving bus. I would have done it. But so we go on the bus, and we're sitting in the back. There's 2 or 3 of us, and these guys fire up like this Bluetooth speaker, and like crazy Colombian dance music. Man, they're all up like singing and dancing on the bus, and we're just like, oh my God, is there a camera on us right now or something? Like, we didn't know what to do. Like, just the culture differences, right? Do you know what I mean?
I know
like,
what you
it's
mean.
just so different.
Like but not a bunch of Canadians would do that on a bus. Everyone would just sit down, have a couple beers.
Yeah, like these guys, it's not like they were drinking or anything.
Yeah.
It's just that's just their culture, right?
Yeah.
Like the Brazilians who play them, and like the rink did a really good job with like the music and stuff, and they
Did
would
they?
try to play like local, like in between whistles, like cultural music. Like, do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Like with,
Switch it up.
yeah, like with
It's
Canada.
like Mighty Ducks when they played Jamaica,
Yeah, like, you know,
played the drums. Yeah.
Yeah, they play like Eminem and shit. But anyway, it was like,
They play,
yeah. But so like the Brazilian guys just start dancing, like on the bench.
That's like Mighty Ducks. That's exactly
when
like
they
Mighty Ducks.
Man, we were like loving it. We were like, this is the best ever, right? Like we just got the biggest kick out of it, and it was so neat. And we get down there, and we're totally. Again, like Hockey Canada did an incredible job preparing us as best they could. We had numerous conference calls leading up to it.
What would the conference calls be about? Professionalism?
Oh, holy shit, man! They went over everything. I remember, like literally, they went over everything from weather expectations, currency. They were like, you know,
Do you get a per diem a day? You
no,
get like
no. And actually, speaking of that, the IIHF has a rule regarding amateur and professionals. Believe it or not.
What's the
something
rule?
so I can't remember, something weird with that. No, Hockey Canada doesn't pay, like they don't do that. No. We didn't get stipends or anything like that, but we were well taken care of, you know. Like
You're not going to go down there struggling for food.
We went to the bar a couple times, and I remember the first time we went, there was a bar attached to our hotel. We stayed it was a really nice hotel. All the teams stayed in it.
Yeah.
And this bar, the hotel had like a club attached to it. And first night we were in there, so one of the guys from our camp were like, "Hey guys, we'll just run it under one bill." And we're like, "Okay, like we'll just all throw in on at the end, right?"
Yeah.
So anyway, the bill came, and he's like, "No, I got it." And he pulls out his Hockey Canada corporate card. The bill was like over $3,000. I'm like, "Shit, man, you can expense that? Like, how does that work? Like, how do you explain that in your expense report?" And he looked at me and he goes, "You kidding me?" He goes, "If you knew any idea what we just spent over in Sochi," he goes, "This is nothing." And I was just like, oh my God. And it was interesting to learn how like Hockey Canada, I mean, they got more money than God. I mean, these guys are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they really, they take care of everything. And it was really cool. And actually this is really funny. So when he paid the bill, I mean, everything's in pesos too, right? So you're trying to convert in your head all the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, he pays the bill and we go back up to our rooms. Well, I hear this like commotion in the hallway and I open the door because we had like our own floor. Every team was on their own floor, like a wing basically. So we had like our own. So I hear this commotion and I'm like, what the hell? So I open the door and like the manager from the bar is up on the hallway and he's with these 2 guys. One of them I think was like a security guard or something. And these are like big guys. And he was like screaming and yelling. So again, the language barrier is a little tough, right?
Yeah.
And turns out, so when our coach paid for the bill, he forgot a zero.
Oh.
So do you know, on the machine?
I know what you mean.
Because he had to type in the total, which is totally weird. I don't know, man.
I know.
Shit works different down there, but when he typed in the total, he forgot a zero. So he basically shorted them
$300,
$3,000, basically.
Yeah.
So they didn't catch on to it until they must have reviewed the receipts later. So they came out, were screaming and yelling and accusing him, ripping him off. He was like, no. So anyway, and it was hilarious because he was basically in his pajamas. He had to go back down. And these 2 big guys, like he went back down to the bar.
Mexico City.
It was hilarious, right? But
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. So we actually, the Canadian Embassy, they have an embassy down there. So they hosted us. We went the second day we got there. And they told us like the do's and don'ts of everything. They gave us the real rundown
Of the city?
Yeah. They were like, you guys can't go anywhere by yourselves. Like you always have to be in a group.
Yeah. Wallets in the front pocket.
Oh yeah. Well, they talked to us about that. So I guess the common thing down there is what they do is they'll kidnap you. And what they do is they'll kidnap you for about 36 or 48 hours, and then they let you loose because, like you have a daily limit on your cards. You can only spend so much on your card every 24 hours.
Yeah.
So they'll max it twice and then set you free. So it's a huge thing down there. Yeah. So they were like warned us of that, and so it's pretty kind of funny to hear all that stuff because you're kind of like, Jesus,
Should play some hockey,
now?
yeah.
But yeah, no, it was wild, man. From start to finish, it was it was quite an experience. I could write a book on it, really.
Should.
Yeah,
That's crazy. I was just thinking, you were saying like these guys really love the game, and I'm just thinking to myself, what do I really love about the game? And I love the room after with the boys having a beer. It's like I love the game. I love getting out there getting a sweat, but I love just seeing the boys.
It's true. Like, I guess the culture of hockey, like we had a bunch of guys thrown together, it was 25 people, I guess. And from all over parts of Canada, different backgrounds, different places. We're all at different stages of our lives, whatever, throw them together. And it's like you've known each other for 10 years, right? But that's the sport.
Yeah.
And that's why it's awesome. And we had such a good group of guys down there. You had to mix everything, right?
Yeah.
You had the quirky ones, you had the funny ones, the serious ones, you know what I mean? Like, it was just awesome. Like a really, really good, solid group of guys, man. And it was a ton of fun. And
A bunch of
really
Canadians
cool.
playing hockey.
Yeah.
What do you want?
So yeah, it was neat. And obviously we won.
See the ring?
Yeah.
Show the camera.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. Is it
You
zoomed
see
up?
that up there? Yeah.
Is it on
it's
camera
pretty cool.
too? Yeah.
It's a great conversation piece, I'll tell you. But
you just flash it at the bar. You're just like,
yeah,
can I get a beer?
This is the first time I've worn in a while, Justin. I haven't worn this in a long time, but yeah, no, it's pretty neat. I think it'd be a cool story to tell my kids someday.
It's sick.
Yeah, but no, it was unreal, man. It was really cool. It was a great experience. The rink was actually not even done yet. It wasn't completed. It was a brand new rink. It was on a university campus, and it wasn't completed yet. So we're like, when I say it wasn't completed, I mean like the ice just got put in. So obviously heat's an issue down there.
Yeah.
So they have the air conditioning system in it. The problem is the humidity. So like the windows were just sweat. Like it was crazy. And the ice was tinged blue. They have to use a different kind of glycol in the pipes to keep it cool because of it's so damn humid. And the ice was really thin. So we practiced, when we got down there, we practiced. We actually cut through to the concrete.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I think, guys were taking tight turns a little too hard, right? And cut through so that the Zamboni driver didn't know how to fix anything. So some of the guys that on our team, like, were out, like, helping fix the ice. It was crazy. And we're just like, this is like, what's going on here, right?
That's
like,
insane.
Yeah. And to the rink, actually, and it probably sat about, I don't know, probably 2,500 people maybe. So when we first got down there, we didn't know what to expect. And like I said, Hockey Canada did a really good job preparing us best they could. Yeah. But again, you don't know what these teams are going to be like. You have no idea. Like you really don't. So the first day we practice, I don't know, there was like one person in the rink. Well, the next day we practiced, Jesus, there was honestly, man, like 100 or so people in there watching us practice. And we were like, what's going on here? And I shit you not, we finished practice and we go in the room and CNN Mexico was there and they wanted to like interview, like, so Cory Mcnabb I mentioned. So he was like our guy, he was our coach, but he was the guy. So CNN Mexico's interviewing him and we're just like, this is bananas. And everywhere we went was like people would know because we always were wearing the Canada stuff. So people were like, honestly, man, if there was ever a time in your life to live the dream, like this was it. And I got to be honest, like we took it and ran with it. Like it was,
of course.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if anyone that knows me would ever call me a poser, but let me tell you what, I ran with it for 10 days and it was bananas. Like it was nuts. So every time we would play, it'd be packed. There's kids down there, Jesus, man, you're signing stuff and you're just thinking like, holy shit, if these people knew
what I do
for a living, where I live, and like, you know what I mean?
Go with it.
And meanwhile, my buddies are like at home, like, texting me and stuff because they're following it, like, and they're just like, man, like, just send us photos, and they're all just making fun of me and stuff, and it was just unbelievable, man. It was wild.
That's so sick.
Yeah,
that's unreal. 10 days of paradise, just doing whatever you want.
Yeah, we have actually. This is one of my favorite stories about it. So after the embassy, we went out and we went for lunch, and we were in this place. It was a nice spot. We were having beers and lunch or whatever, and we're all there. And this guy comes up. He goes, "Oh my God!" He's freaking out. He goes, "Oh my God! Oh my God! Like you guys are Team Canada. Like you guys are the ones that are here." And I'll never forget him. His name was Marco. He was an older guy.
Yeah.
He was in the jewelry business. And the reason I know this is because he said, he goes, "Listen," he goes, "I'll be right back. I'll be right back. My office is a couple blocks away. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere." And we're like, "All right, man. Like, fuck, we're not going to go anywhere."
Have a cold beer.
He comes back and he has a photo in his hand, framed photo, and he took it from his office. And it's a photo of him several years before in a beer league, his team beer league picture in Mexico City. They have a beer league there, and he played in it. This guy was so damn proud to tell us. This is a grown man. Like, he was like late 50s probably.
Wow.
This guy was so proud to tell us that he played ice hockey. Honestly, we were just like, this is incredible. So, like, we kind of realized at that point, we're like, all right, like, you know what? Like, we got to, these people think this is really cool. Like, we got to really be good to them, right?
You probably did them a service by going along with it. If you just said, "No, I'm not signing that. Like, I'm not who you think I am," you did them a service by going, "Yeah, okay, let's do it. That's awesome. I'll sign that for you. You want to have an interview? Let's do it."
This is a grown man, like, you know, probably as a family, whatever. And this guy was just elated telling us that he played ice hockey. First of all, we were like, "Holy shit, there's a beer league here?" Like, we were like, "Really?"
Yeah.
So when we won, and like we're on the ice celebrating, and the rink was full, and we hear this guy, and he's screaming like abnormally loud, and we look up. And there's a guy, I'll never forget it, in a Doug Gilmour Leafs jersey, and it was Marco, that guy. And one of our guys went over to the security guard, and they were like, "Get that guy and bring him down here." And they brought him down oh, shit, man, we were lifting him up and everything. It was unbelievable, like the coolest thing. And that
That's
guy,
awesome.
Yeah, and again,
You made that guy's life.
Yeah,
That's
it was wild, like, and it was just so cool to experience such a different culture and stuff. And in regards to hockey, like, I was really humbled by it all, right? And appreciative too. And you know what, for me, I think, not to sound too preachy or sentimental, but, you know, when I talked earlier about how hockey ended for me, it was almost like a closure in a sense. It's like, okay, like, you know what? I get to do something pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm good with it now. Do you know what I mean?
That's really cool.
Because I always felt like, you know, you miss out. You know, I missed out on a lot. And, you know, I mean, yeah, like I played a lot of like beer league hockey and stuff in my 20s and had a good time on road trips with that and whatever, a lot of fun with the guys. But you know, I really felt that I had that sense of closure with this. Like, you know what, I get to do something that, hey man, like no one really ever got to do. It's crazy and ridiculous, but you know what, like I'm happy now. Like it's good. You know what I mean? So for me, like I really was grateful for it. I really was appreciative of it. I think some guys that were there might not have been as much, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. That's on them. But for me, like I was really just grateful of it all. Like so thankful that we got to do that, and it was oh man, the whole thing was ridiculous, but really really awesome.
That's sick, man. You painted a great picture there. That's awesome. The Dougie Gilmour guy coming down too. Marco, his name was?
Yeah.
Marco comes down. Do you bring him in the room after?
Oh my God. Yeah, it was crazy, man. We it was, you know what? So we actually flew out like early that morning. So we you know, celebrated with a few pops or whatever, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh my God. We actually, man, I gotta tell you the story. So the food down there is Mexico City. I mean, it's known for really good food and stuff. So we would always eat the hotel, right? Like the hotel had a big spread for us. Like, but we said, we're like, we want to go out like for a nice dinner when we're down here, right?
Okay.
So we obviously we don't know where the hell to go or whatever. So we had up on our floor, we had our own common room. We'd hang out and you know, have beers in and tell lies and whatever.
Tell lies.
So we're up there, and the hotel manager comes up one night. And he says, "Hey, there's this woman downstairs who wants to come up and speak to you guys," and he gives us her business card. So the boys start like Googling her or whatever. Yeah. Man, she's a PR rep. She has her own PR firm, and her Instagram is loaded with her pictures of her like arm in arm with like Bieber, Eminem, like crazy celebrities. We were like, what the hell? So we're like, yeah, like, you know, get her to come up. So she came up, and she was doing PR for this new. So there's this area, I guess, in Mexico City where all like really nice bars and restaurants. It's like a whole district.
Okay.
So she was doing PR for this new cabaret club called Monkeys.
What's a cabaret again? It's like a dance group. A cabaret.
Yeah, they got like
I thought it was like a bunch of dudes singing in
Yeah,
theme.
they have like
Or that's a barbershop quartet.
yeah, but they have like the cabaret club is. I think the old school definition of it is basically they have like entertainment there.
Okay.
Like I don't know how to
Someone
explain it.
dancing and singing.
Yeah. So anyway, we were like, oh, this is perfect because, like I said, we wanted to go out. So
Yeah.
anyway, we talked to our team host about it because he kind of like would,
Yeah.
hey man, like, is this legit kind of thing? And he was like, yeah, good. So we make plans to go out Friday night. So, if there's ever a night in your life to act like a celebrity, like this was it, right? And we ran with it. So we go, and we go, and this place was awesome. There's like dudes rolling around in unicycles. They had a stage, and there's like these women dancing and singing. And guys are rolling around in unicycles, like serving drink. Like this place, it was beautiful, right? So we sit down. The owner of the place comes over, and he goes, guys, I'm just so thrilled to have like Team Canada here, and we're all just like rolling our eyes, going, yeah. So anyway, it was crazy. So
You're like, I just got an email last week, but sure,
yeah. My buddy I played beer league with fired me off an email 2 weeks ago, man, and yeah, here I am. Yeah, no,
That's
it's good.
amazing.
So we're sitting there, and oh man, the food was, oh my god, like we had the chef coming out cutting fresh racks of lamb like right at the table, and we're just ordering everything, and he came over, and he the owner bought us these really nice bottles of wine. Right now, I don't drink wine. I'm not classy enough for that. So he came over to me, and he said, he goes, you not like the wine? And I said, no. I said, no, like I just don't enjoy wine. It's just not me. I said, sure, it's great. Like, he didn't want to offend the guy. He's buying us. These are like $400 bottles of wine he's giving us. I said, he goes, what do you like? I said, well, I'm kind of a whiskey guy, right? So he comes over with a bottle of Johnny Walker. He goes, here. I'm like, holy shit. A bottle. So anyway, we it was incredible. So as the night went on, basically we're just making a show of it. I mean, Jesus, we at one point like Red Bull and vodka's going, and oh my god, man, like the bill. So I wish I had the picture on my phone. The bill was insane.
Like 10?
Oh, more.
20?
It was nuts. It was nuts. So, but you know what? It was like this trip was paid for.
Yeah.
Like everything was covered. And it was like, you know what? It was like, you're ever going to live the dream for one night.
Yeah.
Like, this is it, right? And we had such a good time, and it was crazy. So I actually have old photos, like my buddy Joe signing autographs for people, and like just hilarious, right? Like we're just, you know what I mean? I always feel bad, like you're lying to these people, but it's like, hey, they asked.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
You're making them more happy than they're making you.
Yeah. So like, it was awesome, man. And that was close to the end of it too. So
that's awesome.
Oh man, it was unreal. Yeah, it's such a great time.
We got to wrap this up. We gotta go mic someone up. Fuck. I feel like you got more stories though.
Yeah.
You got like one more for us, you think? How long? What?
Now we're running a little overtime here.
Yeah, but if we leave at 4:30, we're fine. Cuz traffic's if we leave an hour before, we'll be good.
Right?
As we can just post edit. We'll wait. We'll be good.
Whatever you want.
We'll be good. Do you got like one more for us? So is there a certain question I should be asking? I did want to talk about how you got into color commentary, but we can save that for another podcast.
Yeah.
Or if you want me to bring something up, I can like that.
It's up to you. Yeah. No. We can get at another time. No.
I hate to cut you off.
No. All good. Yeah. I mean, geez, how long have we been going for?
Hour 15.
I told you, I talk a lot. I warned you.
I don't mind.
I warned you.
I didn't talk at all. I just sat here and listened. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I listen.
No, we can get all the minor hockey stuff another time. But, geez, another story, another Mexico story. Oh my. Oh. We left. I got hustled at the airport. So when we left. The Mexico City airport's ridiculous, man. It's huge. It makes Toronto look like a joke. Like, it's just a massive nothing.
Okay.
So all of us departed there at different times, right? You get guys flying here, flying to Toronto, Calgary. Right. So our flights were different. So when we got there, because we had like a suitcase and then your gear bag and your sticks, right? Anyway, they tried to hustle me for $250 American. Well, there was three of us flying back. We're actually flying to Toronto.
Yeah.
And they try to hustle each of us $250 American.
For what?
They wouldn't let it for luggage fees.
What?
Yeah. So we start arguing, and really shouldn't be arguing in that airport. Oh yeah, it was getting dicey pretty quick.
There's guns around.
Oh yeah, we had security. Oh yeah, like they're crazy down there, man.
Yeah.
We had guys come up, like cops, and they were like, "What's the problem?" And language barrier, and we're like, "Man, this is bullshit. This guy's trying to charge us $250 for luggage fees," and the guy was like, cash had to be cash. It was ridiculous. So my one buddy was like, "All right, screw it," and he gave him his Visa. Guy's like, "No, cash."
Oh,
we're like, what? Oh, so we're like scared. I'm like, all right, we're not going home with our shit because like I'm not paying $250 American for luggage fees, right? Oh yeah. So finally, we were getting worked up. We're yelling, they're yelling in two different languages, which is going nowhere.
Yeah.
And then eventually we got scared. So we shoved like our suitcases in like our gear bag and stuff.
Yeah.
Like trying to limit the cost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's one bag.
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous, man, getting hustled. But it was everything down there was a learning experience. Because I tell you, like they don't like American dollars down there.
Why not?
Don't like it. Hate it.
It's worth more.
I know. Don't like it. Weird. It's really weird.
So why would that's?
It's like Mexico. It's not like a resort town, right? It's a lot different.
It's very local.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's not by the water.
So yeah, we were the final thing of the trip, and we were all still pretty much,
half in the bag. Or
yeah,
still in the bag.
pretty much. Yeah. So to end it off, we almost got hustled for $250 American, but we got our way. I think
you made it back. You're
I
here
think
safe.
I think it only ended up costing me $100. So yeah.
Unreal. Logan, thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate it. We'll get you back. We'll get some more stories out of you.
Let's do it again. I enjoyed it.
For sure.
All right.
Everyone listening, thank you very much for tuning in. We appreciate it. I don't know what day of the week it is. It's Wednesday, halfway there, hump day. Have fun. Stay safe. Keep working hard. We are out. Peace.